Disgaea 7 is here, and what better way to celebrate than seeing if we can beat it with only a single Prinny on release day. So, hit like, drop a dude comment, and let's go. Now, we have done this for Disgaea 5 and 6 so far, so let's see how this goes, dude. Also, I want to thank NIS America for giving me an early copy of the game, allowing me to make this video. But before anything, we need to make our Sardine loving friend suffer even more by adding some rules into this run. Also, let me remind you, I have no idea what's going to happen this run either. The script is being wrote as we go through this, so wish me luck. Now, let's talk about those rules. Number 1, Prinny only. Other than the tutorial stage where other units are forced, we can only have a single Prinny able to leave the base panel. Number 2, no juice bar stats. What's the point if we could just get 10 million stats in everything? Number 3, I don't know if I'm going to have this video done before the game officially releases, so just in case, I'm going to ban all DLC such as boost tickets. And finally, rule number 4, no item world. It would end up making us way too strong, so of course we're going to ban it. That should just about cover everything for our debt-ridden penguin. However, since he's going to try his hardest, I did mention I'd help him with his poor life choices. If you would like to help with covering the poor Prinny's gambling problem, then make sure to check out some of my merch at primalstore.net or by becoming a patron for some exclusive benefits like early access to runs like this one, and many, many more. Otherwise, we'll be forced to give the Prinny over to Etna. Now, let's start. The first tutorial stage is limited to Fuji only, and nothing can be done about that. I also changed the settings around to save some sanity, but once that stage is complete, we end up in the Netherworld controlling Primalliquid on the field, and we actually have a Prinny in our party. So, the first thing we do is to create a subgroup in the party with only the Prinny in it. Then, it's time to go and start the stages. Well, after we get a couple of pieces of gear anyway, and we're met with a horrible game over in the very first stage. I actually wish I was kidding there, but no, we seriously actually got a game over in stage 1-1 with our current rules. So, I go back to the item spot and spend all my money on mint gum. We got 4 pieces. Seems expensive for gum, but oh well. Patreon is helping to cover the cost for the poor Prinny. Now, I try again, this time using defend and healing as well. I managed to take 1 out, and then I try and sink myself into a corner so only 1 mob can hit me at a time, while healing and tried to rely on counters, but I kept missing and eventually died again. Now, I have an idea though, so round 3. Still a no-go though, and I got unlucky. I know I need to gain a couple of levels from item usage while trying to survive, but that is proving really difficult. Eventually though, after more attempts than I care to admit, we finally do it. Now, before we start the second stage, I steal all the equipment off the default characters, sell it, and buy more gum. We also now have the hospital unlocked, so I need money for that after each stage as well. We throw a bunch of boxes around, use a few more items, and the mobs here barely hurt us, which is great. So a few heals is all we need, while stabbing them with our swords for stage 2. On the third stage, I stay on the recovery geo as much as I can while slowly working on the mobs, and we even hit level 4. Still a long way to go though. The next stage is dangerous as well. Strong mobs with a ton of 50% extra attack geo panels. I try to lure them off the geo and take them out slowly while using an item every turn that I can't attack, just to try and get a little bit more EXP. Leveling up a Prinny is going to be a slow nightmare after all. But now it's time for stage 1-5, and we have to give up the stage because I realize I have no way of killing the gunners up top, or the boss for that matter. So we need to buy some slippers so we can take the gunners out, and then the rest of the money all goes on healing items for both healing and leveling. But I've made a horrible discovery here. I can't buy slippers yet, and my Prinny does not have enough jump to get up to the gunners. But remember when we stole the gear off the other characters? One of them had slippers. So it's time to restart the run. Now I just have to hope the extra 4 jump from the slippers I stole from Fuji are enough to get me up the ledge to the gunners. But of course it isn't. I'm ready to cry right now. We aren't even out of the first episode and we're already struggling so much. New idea though. We're going to farm stage 1-1 until we get more slippers to drop. At this point, I also go back to using just items and countering to get some levels. Items will give us a guaranteed level every 8 uses after all, and I know for a fact we're gonna need some levels for the boss in stage 1-5. Another benefit of this is items also give us mana, something we're going to need for Dark Assembly later and leveling skills once we finally unlock them. At level 10, Prinny also learns Target Lock, a spell which increases hit and can replace our item usage for leveling. Eventually, after 41 attempts across the different stages, I finally got a pair of slippers to drop. Now, let's try again. And it works! We're able to get up and hit the gunners now and crack open that treasure chest afterwards. Now I clean up the normal mobs and then it's just a 1v1 against the boss. His defense is super high though and Prinnies are weak, so it takes some time, but we eventually slowly whittle him down using attacks, counters, and Prinny Barrage. And now we're into episode 2. This means we now unlock the Dark Assembly as well to pass bills with, and that's the first stop. We're going to pass Pull Evil Gotcha and also bringing in the cheat shop. Both of these will make our lives infinitely easier. Then I also pass the extra movement and jump bills as well. Then I use the cheat shop to give more EXP at the cost of less mana, money, and class proficiency, turn auto heal at base on, and use all my saved up RP at the gacha to get the first complete bonus reward, which will heal me by 5% of my max HP every turn that I have the item equipped. Now it's on to stage 2-1 where I gain an extra level by spamming Target Lock on the attack +1 geo effect, and then move on. Stage 2-2 goes down nice and quick with no real issues. 2-3 is the same, but 2-4 I lose the ability to one-shot things, and Ieyasu deals 1/3 of my health in a single hit. So I take him out right away when I see that. 2.5 jumbo units are introduced, and I get slaughtered horribly. It's okay though, we now have Gotcha. So I farm some RP so we can get some new gear. Because I'm allowed to bring my Prinny out of the base panel though, we have no good ways of farming RP currently. So I have to resort to the age-old method of equipping and unequipping muscle items to increase my HP limit so I can heal the difference each time doing this. Now each time this nets me around 200 RP, upgrading to better muscles and orbs as I get them. Eventually I get to the super level on the gacha and get some moderate gear, which then allows me to get through stage 2-5 with no issue. Episode 3 is mostly a breeze, but I do realize that I'm going to be taking a lot of magic damage in the future, so I need to watch out for that and be careful. But it doesn't matter as we get destroyed in episode 4 anyway. So it's back to the gotcha for all the pay-to-win shenanigans, and I finish off the super tier and get the Bravada pendant. Let's try this again, and the Bravada pendant comes in clutch. The extra stats from that make me basically invincible in episode 4, but of course, once we get into episode 5, just like every other chapter, I'm expecting my advantage to be gone. And it's becoming a lot more tedious to get gacha rewards now, so we're running out of options for that. And of course, to make matters worse, episode 5 is where status effects are starting to get used more and more often. The problem there is my limited evility slots, so I can't even immune half of them, because the way to gain the slot is to level up and to master classes, both of which are a massive struggle in this kind of challenge run. But I do eventually and slowly make my way through the episode to defeat Suisun at the end. Episode 6 is my nightmare though. I messed up big time. Literally. I used jumbification in a stage, and before I could kill the last enemy, it wore off. And because when jumbo ends, it puts you on the closest tile to the side you are on, which just so happens to have no way off for me. Not only that, the last unis alive won't come closer to me, meaning I have to restart the entire stage. Not only that, but going through everywhere with a Prinny is getting slow. Real slow. Because of this, I decided to unlock Martial Dimension, or Martial Gara as it's called in Disgaea 7. And no, it's not DLC. I don't know why that's in the stage name, however DLC isn't even out. It's part of the base game. But either way, I got one shot, so that's out of the question for now. So I just continue on instead with the main episodes and slowly slug my way through to episode 7. We're now at about the halfway point, but I also know from my Japanese playthrough of the game and my first run through on the English version, things are about to massively ramp up, and I can think of a few walls coming up that are gonna be devastating to get past if it's even possible. But Stage 7-2 ends up being my limit for now. The status effects, enemy stats, and mob type, along with jumbification, is just proving too much. So, can you guess what's next? If you said gotcha, you guessed right, and now I'm starting to hate it. It's taking forever to earn RP, and the rewards are just constantly juice bar stats. At this point, I'm all but sure we're coming to the end of gotcha's usefulness. I also go and do some level grinding on stage 2-1, making use of the extra attack geo effect and the boxes for extra hits, allowing me to gain a level every 2 turns. So I take myself up to level 100. Now it's back to episode 7 to try again. I did, however, forget to turn the enemy stars back down, and that nearly cost me in stage 7 too. But then I turn them back down to 0. I get blown up in stage 7-3 due to Prinny's bomb nature before taking the enemy out long range. 7-4 and 7-5 go down without any real difficulty though, other than the spam of status effects thrown my way. Now for episode 8, where I get walled on mission 8-2. There are 2 enemies that throw bombs at me, and I cannot kill them both in a single turn. I get around this by using shoes on the Prinny to only just get out of range of the bombs. Then I pick the mobs off one at a time until I can jumbo to kill the 2 throwers at once. But then I get absolutely murdered in stage 8-3, like it wasn't even close. I stood no chance, and we're only halfway through the story right now, so it's time to do a big grind. I set enemy stars to 1, and this turns the mobs in Martial Gara to level 99. And in Disgaea games, level 99 mobs give the same EXP as level 300 mobs. I just can't kill them though, so I set the enemy stars back to 0 and slowly farm my way up. Once I get a few levels and some mana, it's back to the Dark Assembly to pass some bills, mainly auto battle. It costs all of my money, but it gets passed. Then I use all of my Poltergas on Martial Gara stage 1 and hit nearly level 1000. This should last me, right? Well, it is for episode 8 as we crush it now. Episode 9 also went fine, and can I just say, I love Pringa Beam. Makes life so much easier in large fights when everything around me dies. Now, we have an issue though, that our stats just won't help us with. Stage 10-1. There is an NPC unit which, if it dies, we game over, and I don't have healing abilities, nor the movement to get over to it quickly. And because I'm a monster unit, I can't even just lift her up. So back to our old friend Gacha to get vernier thrusters from the Overlord tier, and now to try again with the extra movement. But she gets poisoned on turn 1, so I instantly retry. And after far too many tries, like seriously, I lost count how many attempts this took, we finally figured out the pattern to do it. It just involved a lot of throwing and trying to block Nitra into somewhere. The rest of episode 10 was fine and gave us no real issues. I did enjoy murdering Nitra in stage 10-5 though. Episode 11 is nice because most stages here have bosses that we can just speedrun to, kill, and that ends the stage. This allows us to get through the entire episode in under 5 minutes. The boss on stage 12-1 though is another nightmare enemy. It's a 1v1 fight, and every time he hits me, he seals me, not allowing me to make a single move. He does eventually miss though, allowing me to finally kill him off. It's the same deal in 12-2 as well, only any damage he receives, he reflects to other mobs, making this a long drawn out fight. Stage 12-5 also introduces mob spawning panels, so I rush to take them out before I realize I can just jumpify and kill the boss to end the stage. Now we're on to episode 13, with even more enemy spawning panels, even more poison, and now also clone geo effects as well. But it's nothing really that we can't handle now. Maybe level 860 is a little much, but now we're on to episode 14. That means just 2 episodes left, and things are looking good for us to clear the game. Hopefully by saying that I've not just jinxed myself though. Episode 14 does have some annoying moments though, as Ahh can't be damaged on geo panels, so I have to keep destroying them or moving her off of the panels before I can murder her. I will admit though, I feel bad having to kill her since she's by far the most overpowered character in the game, and we all know how much I like them. But now it's time for the final episode. Can our Prinny be the hero? Can he pay off his debt? Can he escape Etna? Okay, of course, he can't do those last 2, but hey, maybe he can be the hero. 15-1 is pretty easy because of the healing geo panel. Even if the boss can survive my hits, it doesn't mean much. 15-2 is really annoying though, because we have to use the warp geo panels to move around the stage, and they can send you anywhere. So we had to wait to get lucky to make it to the end of the stage. Likewise, in 15-3, we have to destroy 4 geoblocks before we can even reach the boss, then move him off of the remaining panels to damage him. 15-4 brings back Mugai, who loves sealing me entirely, but he misses, allowing me to kill him eventually. Now, it is on to the final stage, Super Mugai, and now he seals me for 2 turns each time he hits me, deals over 10,000 damage a hit to me, and inflicts a bunch of different status effects on me. I'm left with 2 options here. The first is to one-shot him. The second is to hope he misses me twice in a row. Let's try the second attempt first. And it works in the very first fight. We did it, dude. We beat Disgaea 7 using only a Prinny. Or did we? I mean, we still technically have all of postgame and even ball left, so drop a comment letting me know if we should see if a Prinny can accomplish the ultimate challenge in the shape of the Extreme Overlord. But before that, and while you're commenting, make sure you smash that like button, and remember, you can get early access to challenges just like this one by supporting the channel over on Patreon, which is linked down below in the description. Along with that is my linktree, which contains links to all my social medias, which you should totally follow for the memes, and join our Discord server. With that said though, everybody, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.